Good morning. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, whom you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad you're with us. If you're visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book back in the living room. And if you would like to join us for coffee hour downstairs, feel free to take a green mug so that we can be sure to greet you. If you want to remain anonymous, don't take a green mug. We'll probably greet you anyway. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember all of our members to wear your name tags, which I don't have mine on, I'm sorry. Name tag with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, please see the visitors table in the back. I'm Julia Beckman. My pronouns are she and her. I'm pleased to be with you today as your worship associate. Our music today will be provided by Jamie Passman. Yay. We'd like to thank you for placing your phones in worship mode. But please do feel free to check in on social media and let folks know you are worshiping here today. Childcare for children under the age of 5 would be available. However, this is a family service, so they're welcome to stay. They're always welcome to stay anyway, but if they would prefer being in the play group, it is across the alley in the RE building downstairs. But this is an all-family service today. There's always a lot going on around here, the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there are printed copies available downstairs. If you'd like to receive News and Notes in your email, stop by the welcome table again in the living room at the back of the church. We now have some announcements. I will call our leader, Bob Daniel Wayman, to come forward.
For those of you who don't know me, Bob Daniel Wayman, I am serving as the president of the Board of Trustees, and this will be the last 6 months of my second term. So if you're looking for a job in which you herd cats for zero pay, you really need to step up. Actually, in all seriousness, it's a lot of fun. You get to work with some incredible people. You get to work with staff. So put that in your thinking cap because the nominating committee will be calling. So today I'm here to talk to you about board policy on respiratory viruses. The public health authorities have shifted their language some from just talking about COVID to talking about COVID, influenza, easy for me to say, and RSVP. There's been some concern recently about rising rates of infection, rising rates of hospitalization. And so the board talked about it at our last board meeting, what actions we should take. So as we talked about that, there were some basic principles we all agreed on. We agreed that this has to be a community-based approach. Unitarians don't do real well with mandates, and it's really all of our responsibility to make this work. Important to that, everybody needs to know kind of what's going on. We want to provide some education, and there's some things with the building we think we can do. So specifically, I'm going to share some status on what's going on with respiratory illness. We'll engage in some education over the next couple of months, and we're going to investigate if we can add some better filters and ventilation to the building. So what is going on? IDPH, the state public health folks, Illinois Department of Public Health is IDPH, has labeled the state as moderate. If you look at the broader ratings, the South is running way ahead of us. And so it's a good warning for us to be prepared. This is the time to take action before things get worse. Good news is it's not terrible. The current rate of hospitalization is running at about, for COVID, is running about 3.5% of the peak in January 2022. And if you look at influenza and RSVP, they're both less than that. I will put links in the next news and notes to the sources of these. Probably the most concerning was if you're a real geek like me and you look at the wastewater tracking that they're doing, that's increasing rather rapidly, and it's definitely a sign for concern. So what can you do? What should we do as a community to protect each other? First off, if you're feeling sick, please stay home. Right? You can access the services online through YouTube. You don't have to be here. That's really critical to preventing spread. If you're exposed, and we know we've had some members that have come down with COVID recently, if you're exposed, please test, please wear a mask for the first 5 days. I believe it's the CDC guidance. You should stay home. And for the next 5 days after that, assuming you're still testing negative, you should wear a mask. So if you have any reason to be concerned, please wear a mask. We have older members. They're more susceptible. They're more at risk. We should all be protecting each other. Getting vaccinated, I know we didn't have a lot of vaccine-resistant people in the congregation, but I will tell you, the number for Chicago, my daughter shared this with me, for getting the latest booster is 10%. So please get your boosters. They're important. Get your influenza shot, get your RSV shot if you're over 60, 65. Talk to your doctor about getting it. And then, basic sanitation, wash your hands, etc. These are all about protecting our community, helping our friends in the congregation. So I'll leave you with that thought. We need to protect each other.
Thank you so much, Bob, and thank you to the board who is so careful and so thoughtful about keeping us safe and being ahead of the curve. So thank you. I have one announcement. I wanted to remind you or let you know that we will not have a 10:30 service next Sunday, which is Christmas Eve. We will be having our Christmas Eve service. So you're all invited to come to our Christmas Eve service at 4 o'clock. The choir will be singing. I heard them rehearse, and I heard some other beautiful solos. And just join us. By the way, we are also having a child dedication. We'll be dedicating Christina Haas. So come and join us for this beautiful, beautiful service. And if you're inclined, please feel free to join me at the Vedanta Society of Chicago at 6:30, where I'm giving the talk on Christmas and on Jesus. So we'd love to have you join me, but I understand you can't do that. So we acknowledge here at UCH that we're in the western suburbs. We inhabit areas that are the traditional territories of the indigenous peoples, including the Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, and truly many others. As people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and to do what we can to repair the harm. And so, I invite you to take a breath with me. And I call us into worship this morning with words by Jan Richardson. I cannot tell you how the light comes. What I know is that it is more ancient than imaginings, that it travels across an astounding expanse to reach us, that it loves searching out what is hidden, what is lost, what is forgotten, what is in peril or in pain. There is a fondness for the body, for finding its way toward flesh, for tracing the edges of form, for shining forth through the eye, the hand, the heart. I cannot tell you how the light comes, but that it does, that it will. that it works its way into the deepest dark that enfolds you, though it may seem long ages in coming or arrive in a shape you did not foresee. And so may we this day turn ourselves toward it. May we lift our faces to let it find us. May we bend our bodies to follow the arc it makes. May we open and open more and open still to the blessed light that comes. May it be so. It is good to be together. We begin our service this morning with the song that we ended with last week, as we've been on an exploration this month on the gift of mystery, the gift of dark, and as we move toward the light, we're pausing still in the dark of winter. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with me.
We light our chalice now, the symbol of our church and denomination, with these words. Please say them with me. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. As we gather each week, we affirm our community, our covenant and purpose as a Unitarian Universalist church, to live our values within and outside our walls. We share our time, talent, and treasures. And now we have the opportunity to give to the work of our church. That's the treasure part. I invite you to share our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with all the world. We now gratefully receive your contribution. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
Jamie, thank you for making us so happy with your music. Jamie makes us happy. He breaks our heart. That's what music does for us, huh? It opens us to ourselves, to mystery, to love, to wonder, to possibility, to joy, to just plain fun. It can open us into some of the deepest places in our hearts, can't it? And invite you into the deepest places of your hearts. Invite you into your body. Invite you into your soul this morning for a moment. Just take a breath with me as we move into a time of meditation, of song, and of sharing our joys and sorrows. One of the ways that we create a container of love to hold all that we are. The good news is you don't have to hold it all on your own. That's why you're here on a gray Sunday morning. Something brings us into community, doesn't it? Now I invite you for a moment into your heart, into yourself. I'm going to invite you to breathe with me again. Just take a breath. And just allow yourself to connect to the natural rhythm of your breath. You don't need to do anything with it, just simply notice it. The miracle of breath, the breath of life, the breath that connects us to everything that ever was, as we breathe in oxygen molecules that have been at one time or another in the lungs of every breathing being. Speaking of interdependence. Breathing in and out in a time when the breath is less dangerous but has still been. The breath connects us each to each here in this place and to all that live and breathe and desire to live and breathe. Breathing in and out. And on the exhale, the breath connects us to all that will be, making us ancestors for those who will come. Feel your body on the chair, your feet on the floor. Breathe into that place in your body that is your center. Maybe it's your heart's belly, solar plexus. Just breathe. Arrive into these bodies, into this place, into this time, connecting with whatever it is that you've brought with you today, coming from the various parts of our lives, the various parts of our day, and even the various parts of ourselves. We can recollect who we are. And just rest in that for a moment. You don't need to do anything special. You already are. You don't need to be anything special. You already are. I invite you to take another breath. Maybe you'd like to deepen it or not. Breathing in. If you need to have more breath to bring your shoulders down and to connect you further. In a moment, we will be having an invitation for the spirit of life, the spirit of love, to be with us as if it were not. And so now I invite you, if your eyes have been closed, you can go ahead and open them. And I invite you to look around at the people that you're sharing this journey with. And if you're an introvert, you don't have to catch people's eyes. You can just look around. And that's good too. There you go. I invite you to sing with me, Spirit of Life, number 123. Unitarian Carolyn McDade, this song is an invitation for Spirit to come to us and for us to be present and for us to know that we're held and that we're also able to be free. And this is a time in our service where we share our joys and our sorrows with one another. I think we have a couple of kids. Kids are also invited to participate in joys and sorrows. In my last congregation, we called it sugar and spice. So however you relate to this, in a moment, I'm going to invite you up. We have a bowl of water that just holds the pebbles that you drop in it, giving us the opportunity to just feel held in community. And just reminding us always that all voices are always welcome in this service. That I love to hear babies. I love to hear them gurgle. I love to hear them cry. I love to watch kids dance up and down aisles. So, well, if there are any of you who are not children who would like to dance up and down the aisles, there may be an opportunity to do that. But for now, I invite you to reconnect with who you are and what you've brought with you today. And you can take a pebble, drop it in the water, and share with us briefly. And just a reminder that you can drop pebbles in silence.
Okay, so I guess this is a joy. My dad has a plethora of greens available downstairs just to take for free, the microgreens. So please come down and take one to enjoy at Christmas time.
I'm Anita. And I have two pebbles today. One is for Ed Downing, who passed away. He was a former member of our church and very much involved in our church back in the years. And he was in charge of the rummage sale, and my husband was in charge of the finances. And my husband said to him, if you help me with finances, I'll help you with cleaning up on the rummage. And it worked well for years. And he died in Ann Arbor. And Jeannie was his wife, and we have good memories of both of them. Ed and Paul used to meet for lunch downtown because they both worked nearby each other. The other one is Sue Waskalis, who is also a longtime member of this church. And they moved to Valparaiso and lived there for the last 10 years, I think, 10 or 15 years. And she just passed away also. Our connection to the Waskalis family is they had a Book Nook store in Lisle and 3 kids. And I think it was two of the kids went to Farm and Wilderness the same year that our daughter went to Farm and Wilderness camp. We drove them to Vermont. Can you imagine 7 people in a sedan with a luggage? We got there. We even stayed overnight in a motel, all 7 of us in the same room. But it was fun, and that was Sue's kids, Sue and Jerry's kids, and we'll miss them.
Hi, I'm David. Yesterday, I visited with a longtime church member and a good friend of my parents, Lorna Nuniker, and her daughter, Rana, who's living with her. And had just a really great time reconnecting with her. And I asked her, she recently turned 95, and I said, how are you doing? She said, I'm grumpy. But I think that's what's making me live so long. So, I don't know, but.
My name is Tim Hayes, and this is my wife, Karen. We've been members for a long time. And some joyful news, I guess. A new granddaughter. This is Laurel's fourth. Laurel grew up in this church, went to RE and everything. And this is her fourth child. In fact, Nicoletta Joy Hayes Becker was born, I guess, a week ago? The 9th of December. So, joy.
And I'm Karen, and I was on sabbatical for the fall and spent a very lovely autumn in the Pacific Northwest and hiked and had all kinds of adventures, and now I'm back. So just here I am. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Jonathan. There's a married couple in this church that plays a big part in my life. She is a retired Spanish teacher, and he is a very busy commercial banker and terribly overworked, and I'm always wishing that they could have a little more free time. Well, they finally did it. They took a Delta flight to Spain about 10 days ago, and just last night I was delighted that they came back in one piece. I can't say the same thing for Terminal 5 at O'Hare. It's a disaster, but it was really great to see them again, and we're so glad that you're back, Steve and Athena.
I'm Kevin, and this is to celebrate my husband's birthday, which was on Tuesday. He turned 31.
Happy birthday. For all those joys, for the sorrows, for those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, and our companion in death and the journeys of our lives. We pause in this moment for the joys of family and birth and return and friendship. We pause in sorrow and condolences for the losses among us. As we travel the wheel of the year of life, of birth and growth and life and death and return, we do so knowing that we are held in the spiral of time, we are held in the warmth of community, and we are held in love always and everywhere. As we move into this holiday season, which may be fraught, maybe joyous, maybe complicated, maybe all of those things. As we move forward, we move forward with the roots that hold us close and the wings that allow us to be truly who and whose we are. And you, when Spirit calls, you've got to say yes and answer that call. Whatever Spirit is calling you to do in this moment. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. For those of you who may know this chant, does anyone know the chant, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return? Very good, because I need you singing loudly with me because y'all, am singing into the mic. We are celebrating the winter solstice today. Now, this is what we know, that it's not quite here yet. You know, it doesn't happen until December 21st. This is part, and you'll hear more about this in a moment, part of our Celtic Wheel of the Year service that we're celebrating the seasonal shifts as the soul's journey so that we may travel. And we travel the spiral in our lives all the time. We heard it just today. Birth, joy, fullness, death, release. This chant, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, return, return. For those of you who know it, we're not doing that second part. Do you know the chant too? Oh, well, come on, you're going to stand up. Y'all going to stand up and sing this in a moment. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit because we've got folks who know it. And here is how it goes. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The light is reborn. That is the promise of this season. The promise that out of the darkest night, a light is born. This is the season to celebrate the winter solstice. To pause for a moment. Now, the solstice, as y'all know, means standing still sun. To pause before the slow return of light, and I do mean slow, especially here in Chicagoland, after the longest night. For millennia, our ancestors who shared this land and lands a world away, this is Newgrange in Ireland, where my people are from. They marked and celebrated the birth of the sun, the lengthening of the days. They celebrated these with symbols that surround us today. Holly and ivy, Christmas tree, evergreen trees. They weren't Christmas trees until a little bit later. And lights and gifts and merrymaking. They were celebrating the return of the light. The winter solstice, the day upon which sacred birds of God and men, celebrations of light take place in a time when we may connect with the rebirth of hope and possibilities. Now, on our calendar, the winter solstice marks the first day of winter. But in the Celtic Wheel of the Year, the winter solstice is the midpoint of the winter season, which was begun at Samhain on October 31st, which, for those of us who practice the Celtic Wheel of the Year, is the new year. Now, this is what we know, that winter is by no means finished. The promise of light still assures us that the darkness eventually leads to light, that a light will be there, and it is in and through all that is. Now, last week we talked about being able to embrace that dark, though, to not move too far away from it too quickly. For those of you who were here, or maybe those of you who just found yourselves in some sort of reverie, Given the dark days we had, particularly yesterday with the gorgeous rain, did you avail yourself of the dark to rest a little bit more? Did you? No. Did you avail yourself of the dark to breathe? Some of you breathed, some of you didn't. Guess what? You still have a few more days. Today we continue that journey. You'll see from the Wheel of the Year, which I'll send out, probably could have put it with my article this week, we're on a soul's journey. And we're just given the opportunity to open to what the light might be. Recalling those recent explorations that we've had into the darkest time of the year, remembering that the soul's journey is one that is inward and outward. It is one of transformation and of healing, of light, insight, and wisdom, of release and renewal. As I said, we've experienced mystery this month and dark this month as a way to allow ourselves to go inward for a time, even if you didn't. Did you think about it? Did you put your head on the pillow, grateful for a pillow, if you indeed do have one, and allow sleep to comfort you? Now, for me, when I say soul, I don't mean something separate from our bodies, but it's that intersection of the conscious and the unconscious through which our imaginings express our deepest meanings and our deepest longings. There is a healing for us and wisdom to be gained in the soul's journey, an intentional living and awareness of this. Theodore Roszak, who started the field of eco-psychology, asks us to consider that quiet contemplation of the night sky before one turns to sleep and dreams that might do more to touch the mind with the healing grandeur than weeks, months, or years of obsessive autobiographical excavation. You see what he's saying there? That for all of the thinking about who and whose we are, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do, the soul's journey invites us in. We're looking to that sacred spiral in our work, in our soul's journey. At Samhain, October 31st, we honored those beloved ones who've passed, and we've used this season to continue that exploration of depth. We journeyed into that quiet time to heed the poet Rilke, to love the dark hours of your being, to enter into the cauldron of transformation, into the womb of winter, the comfort of deepening dark. Take a moment, because I saw from heads that not many of us were able to take the time to reflect on mystery and darkness and what it's taught you and what it is teaching you about yourself, your relationships with others, about the earth and its cycle. So just take a moment with me. Would you take a breath? What is it, beloveds, beloved, that you long for? What is it that you seek to transform within yourself? This is a time of release, a time of letting go what no longer serves us. So what is it in your life? A habit, a pattern, a person, a belief, an idea, an illusion? What is it that you need to release in your life? And this gives us the opportunity to make room for what will be born. What is it that you need to say goodbye to in order to welcome in what will come with the birth of the new sun? This is one of the gifts of the winter solstice, to pause, to find those places in us, the dreams, the hopes, the desires, the longings, that which is aching to be born. Knowing that the light shining in the darkness allows us to be brave in our hopes for ourselves and our world. For ourselves and our world. Today, we pause to reflect and to turn ever so slightly, but decidedly away from the darkest time, not to flee from the darkness, for it still teaches and will continue to teach us, but to pause, then to turn with the wheel of the year to our next phase, to discern for ourselves what it is that we most need to bring forth in our own lives that will lead us to wholeness, like a star above the ocean, like a dream set in motion. There's a light shining in the darkness for us to see. Words of comfort and assurance as we experience the darkest night in just a few days, anticipating the birth of light at the winter solstice. There is, beloveds, there is wisdom in this time. So much wisdom, and it's ancient wisdom. For centuries, humans have been marking this time. For centuries, humans have been telling stories. They've been making sense out of this new time, this change, this light going dark, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. This is very Northern Hemisphere oriented, isn't it? Because you know our friends in the Southern Hemisphere are celebrating their summer solstice. But we love to tell stories, don't we? Stories about what it all means and what characters there might be in these stories. What do you think, Pam? Do you think there's stories to be told?
I always tell stories.
You always tell stories. Pam Fodor is our director of programs and responsible for all the beauty that you see around you. So, do you think that fairies have something to tell us?
I don't know. Fairies.
Fairies? What about fairies? Okay, are you getting your things?
Yeah, I'm ready. Does everybody have a little fairy?
Where's my fairy?
She's right here.
Thank you.
Okay. If you need one, here comes Paula, the fairy. And I wonder what sound fairies might make when they come to us. Okay, so in our story, every time the fairies come, you can raise up your fairy and make your fairy noise. Are you going to stand up here with me?
I am.
Okay, good. Oh,
Where else would I go?
I thought you were going to go over there.
I could go.
You don't have to.
I could. You want to give me that mic? Yeah. I need a stand. Thank you.
It's all good.
Thanks. It takes a village to make fairy things happen.
So, our story is The Yule Fairies by D.J. Conway. Come with me on a journey now into a faraway place and time, a place of magic and mystery and stories where the fairies, elves, and gnomes live and breathe and have their being. Once upon a time, there was a group of little fairies who made their home deep under the roots of the giant oak tree. There they lived, safe and snug underground, in a tiny cave lined with dandelion fluff, bird feathers, and dried moss. The fairies were named Rose, Daffodil, Meadowgrass, Lilac, and Elder Blossom.
Outside, the winter cold, wind blew cold, and snow fell softly down to cover the ground. I saw the sun king today, the fairy named Rose said as she pulled her mossy cloak tighter around her. He looked very old and tired as he walked off through the forest. What is wrong with him? The great oak king is dying, answered Daffodil. Dying? Oh no! What will we do? Cried little Meadowgrass. If the Sun King dies, our little plant friends will not grow. The birds will not come and sing again. Winter will go on forever. Lilac, Dandelion, and Elder Blossom tried to comfort their friend, Meadowgrass, but they were all very sad.
As they huddled together, there was a knock on the tiny door. "Open up, fairies," called out a loud voice. "Why are you hiding instead of joining us for the solstice celebration?" Rose opened the door, and in pushed a little gnome named Brown Nobby, shaking the glistening snowflakes off his brown coat and hat.
We're too sad to celebrate, said Daffodil, wiping tears around her eyes. The Sun King is dying. Haven't you heard?
He's already dead, you silly fairies. Now hurry up, or we'll all be late for the celebration.
Elder Blossom stomped her foot and frowned at the gnome. How can you be happy and laughing, she said. If the Sun King is dead, winter will always be. We'll never see the sun again.
Oh, silly little child fairies. Brown Nobby grabbed Dandelion by the hand and pulled her to her feet. The secret is in the winter solstice. Come on, don't you know what it is?
The fairies looked at him in surprise. Secrets? They all said, what secret? We're only new little fairies, you silly gnome. We've never been to a solstice celebration before.
Well, come and see. Get your capes and come with me. Brown Nobby danced and jigged around the room. Hurry up, don't be slow. To the sacred grove we go, through the snow. And he danced out the door and disappeared.
What was the gnome talking about? Rose asked as she gathered up her cloak of rose petals and moss. I don't know, but the lady goddess lives in the sacred grove, Meadowgrass said, pulling on her hat. Perhaps if we go too, we'll be able to find out what that mystery is as we follow Brown Nobby, as we see the goddess, and she can explain what Brown Nobby was saying.
So the fairies left their snug little home and trudged off through the snow towards the sacred oak grove. The forest was dark, with only the light of the moon shining down through the thick fir branches and bare limbs of maple and hawthorn. It was difficult for the little fairies to get through the snow because they were so small. As they waded through the wet snow and shivered in the cold, they met a fox. "Where are you going, fairies?" the fox asked.
To the sacred grove.
Oh, they were shivering and chattering their teeth, so the fox took pity on them. "Climb on my back, and I will take you there swiftly." So the fox knelt down and took the fairies on his back and then raced off through the dark.
Listen, said Lilac as they neared the sacred grove of trees. Someone is singing happy songs, a lot of someones.
The beautiful music carried through the cold, still moonlit air. It was the most beautiful music the fairies had ever heard. The fox carried them right to the edge of the stone altar in the center of the grove, then knelt down.
Look, said Elder Blossom as they slid into the snow-covered ground. There is the maiden and the mother and the old wise crone and many other little people. They're all smiling and happy, Lilac said, as she looked around at all the creatures. They're on our altar, too. All the animals are here, too, whispered Dandelion. Why are they all looking at the mother?
The fairies moved closer to the three ladies seated at the altar stone. The mother held a bundle close in her arms, smiling down at it. The maiden reached down and lifted the fairies gently in her hands. She held them close to the mother so they could see what she held.
A baby, cried the fairies, a new little baby. Look at how he glows.
He's the newborn Sun King, said the maiden, smiling.
But Brown Nobby and the old oak tree said the Sun King was dead. How can this little baby be the Sun King?
That is the great secret of the winter solstice. Every year, the Sun King must come to the sacred grove during the darkest days of winter. And here, in this magical place, he dies. I take his spirit to the mother who gives him new life again. This is the way for all creatures, not just the Sun King.
You mean everything that lives will die and then live again? The fairies were looking down in wonder at the baby Sun King nestled in the mother's arms.
Yes, little ones, life moves in a great circle of birth and living, death and regeneration. It is never ending. This is the great mystical secret of the winter solstice.
The fairies were so happy that they laughed out loud. I think the little Sun King should have gifts, said Rose. I will show him where the wild roses bloom every summer. And I will teach him to call the birds and listen to the songs of the wind, exclaimed Dandelion.
When he is older and stronger, then the flowers will bloom at his touch. The birds will return to sing their songs, and the air will be warm from his breath. And winter will be gone for a time. And then the Sun King will run and play with you in the forest.
The little fairies sang to the baby Sun King, singing songs of the, singing songs of the coming spring, the sweet-smelling flowers and bumbling bees, and all the secrets of the forest. All the creatures within the sacred grove sang with them. And then the fox took them back to their snug home under the roots of the giant oak tree, where they dreamed wonderful dreams of the warmth of spring and the fun that they would have with the little Sun King. Thank you, fairies. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Brown Nobby. Blessed be. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. I invite you to join us in a litany. Your response is, there you go. In the greatest darkness, out of the winter's cold,
Life is reborn.
From our deepest fears, when we most despair, when all seems lost,
The light is reborn. When the earth lays waste, when animals hide, when the leaves are gone,
The light is reborn. When the river is frozen and the ground is hard,
the light
is reborn.
shadows are fleeing, light is returning, warmth will come again.
the light is reborn.
Plants will grow again, animals will be seen once more, life will continue.
The light is reborn. I have to say that the Yule fairies is one of my most favorite stories in the whole world. And it's funny. I've read it, had it read numerous times, and there was something poignant about hearing it today. Just the reminder of not only of the stories, but how the longings and the fears and the hopes live in all of us. For over 30 years, I've been doing a practice that includes, at the winter solstice, that includes choosing a word for inspiration from a deck of angel cards. The words represent an idea or an area in our lives that we can work on in the coming year. Now, the thing is, the way that I've learned the practice and have done and taught the practice all these years is that we don't look at the words and pick them. We let them pick us as we pick them out of a basket. I remember many, many years ago with a spiritual group that I was with, we decorated our Yule tree, and we decorated the tree with the words, tied up on a little ribbon, and then we dance around the tree. Are you wondering if I'm going to have you dance around a tree now? We would. Yes. Yeah, all right, maybe next year. We danced around the tree and picked the word, and then truly what we would do, and what I've done for over 30 years, is work with that word for the rest of the year and just see. I would always keep it on my altar, see what it's revealing to me. Oftentimes it's something that its meaning isn't clear at first, or it's something that can be a little surprising. So this one year, I danced by the tree, and I picked the word obedience. And so then I danced right back and put it back. I picked another word, and the word was trust. So for me, it revealed the truth of the word obedience, which is to be true to myself, to trust the guidance, to trust my inner wisdom, and to be true to that. It's always an ongoing and fluid process as the insights come throughout the year, and I travel with the word through the cycle. One year, I got the word faith at the winter solstice. It was a long time ago. It was in 1998. I knew that in all likelihood I would be given the opportunity to be challenged in that area. Because it's not like sometimes, like, I got faith. Oh, good, I'm going to have a bunch of faith. No, maybe, not always. It could be that I would be challenged to hold faith. And indeed, in that particular year, I had many opportunities to think about faith. But particularly during the last few months of the year when I had a frightening, almost paralyzing health scare. It was a hard time. I struggled through the semester, and by mid-December, I was cleared by my doctor because I was fearing a recurrence of cancer. I looked forward to the turning of the wheel in the coming year, having journeyed with faith. Now, in that year, there was a full moon on the winter solstice, which happens sometimes, and it's always the most beautiful, most magical thing that you can imagine. The moon and the sun were unusually close, making the moon incredibly large and bright. And for weeks before the winter solstice, I told myself I would get up early, and I'd go watch the sunrise early in the morning. What better time to greet the sun than early in the morning and that newly born son? I had spent the evening at my church. I was a layperson at the time, watching the sun set and doing ritual. We would drum down the sun every time. Had friends over. It was late by the time I got to bed, and my resolve to get up before the sunrise kind of didn't even set the alarm. But then my beautiful kitty Lil, short for little one, decided to walk on me. Now she was little, but not little enough to not wake me up. And so I woke up and I went to check on the moon, and she was still there. So I decided that I would make my way to Jetty Park on Newport Beach in Southern California. So I pulled on my cape with a coat underneath, and I made my way there. As I got there, the sun was, now this is a jetty, so the moon is setting in the west, and I can see it set over the water. And the sun is just starting to rise. And I remember feeling the beauty and the power of that moment. And I remember looking at the moon and really, really wanting to watch that moon set. But then I kept turning to the sun and really, really wanting to watch that sun rise. And I kept going back and forth until it occurred to me I could not have both. In that moment, a profound healing and truth came. In order to hold the beauty of that new sun, I had to let that moon go and just allow that to be. Then pelicans and seagulls started to make noise as the sky lightened and gave way to the day. And for a moment, I felt like I was enacting an ancient ritual, standing as ancestors did, watching and keeping watch. It kind of felt like I was keeping watch for everyone, for all of humanity. So I looked back at that moon and watched her descend. And then looked back at that sun. I had to turn from the past, the beauty of that moon, in order to face the rising sun. And I released that long-term pattern. All experiences, even the most beautiful and the most tragic ones, must pass. And yet their memory is carried on and helps to create the next moment. And it is only in releasing that we become open to the possibility to whatever is going to happen next. Now, I should say, the only other time as I turned, there was a school of dolphins swimming very close to the shore. The only other time I'd seen dolphins like that was several years before on Imbolc, which is a Celtic festival, as I was standing at the ocean releasing clumps of hair to the ocean as it came out from chemotherapy. And it felt like a return, and indeed it was a healing. And I pulled my cape even closer because it got colder. And then I realized that I'm still always held in love and mystery. And so, beloved ones, I would like to introduce and invite you into picking an inspiration word for the year. How does that sound? Now, you may or may not have dramatic experiences with them. I'll tell you how I've seen it work. I can't tell you the numbers of people who would come into my office and say, "Can I tell you about what's going on with the word?" And I always keep a deck of words in my office, so the leftovers, so that people can come, and I replenish them in case they're gone, so people can come and pull a word and let that guide them. I do pull a word daily. And I will tell you that my word for this year was balance. Making a cross-country move, ending and beginning. I sought, found, lost, found again the balance that is needed. So I'm looking forward to my new word as well. So in a moment, Julia and Pam are gonna help me pass out words, and if we have kids still here, we've got words that are more kid-friendly. Do we have any kids? Yep, can make sure that the kids get that, and we can combine them. So this is the deal, y'all. You cannot peek. There'll be no peeking. All right? A friend of mine once, he pulled birth, and his wife's like, no! No way! But then he went to seminary. She's like, that was that. So, come on, y'all. You ready? Yeah. So again, to remind you, whatever you think it is, be open to it being something else. Be open to it revealing a truth to you. If it seems like really obvious, well, then engage and see if there's something else. Like someone got the word respect. Doesn't mean you don't have any. It may mean you need to assert yourself to get it. You just don't know what the word might be. Okay, y'all. Excuse me. Did anybody get obedience? Yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, we got one person. Karen McDowell got obedience. All right. So I would love for you to share your word with me and tell me all about it over the year. One of the things that I like to do is invite the board president up to pick a word for the congregation. And this is a word that the congregation can think about through the year. Sometimes I write about it and say, okay, this is our word. What is it? And so I'm going to invite up Bob to pick up a word for the congregation.
So this could be your job next year.
Yes. What is the word for our congregation?
Charity.
No, it's not. It's clear.
I don't have my glasses on.
The word for the year for the congregation is clarity. Now, as a Unitarian Universalist congregation, or as any congregation, what I would invite us to do is explore what is it that we need clarity about. You know, what clarity will guide us. So let's work with that through the year. Now I'd like to invite up Pam to pick for the Religious Exploration Program.
My word is, or the word for the RE program is contentment.
That would be good to work with, won't it? Ooh, I'm excited. Jamie, you don't know this. You're going to pick a word for the music program. Don't look. Okay, you can't see. What is it?
Julia, efficiency.
Oh my gosh. Oh. You guys.
More apropos than you would ever know.
You guys, you know, sometimes you get words like efficiency and it's like, that is so boring. I know, I can't, why didn't I get like love, you know, beauty? No, we got efficiency. But give yourself some.
That's the joke. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Let's see how it plays out. So, have fun with your words. Keep me posted on what they are and how you're able to live them. Just open to the wisdom that is revealed in the words. And like I said, I'll have the extra words in my office. Oh, and for people on YouTube, okay, here. Send me an email, minister@hinsdaleunitarian.org. By the way, if you ever want to get a hold of me, any of you, minister@hinsdaleunitarian.org. And set up a time, and I'll pick a word for you. Or you can come in and pick a word. And I'll have the words available I always like to have them at least until after the first of the year, because there are people who miss the service. So I'm excited to see what might come of our words and our clarity. So I would just simply invite you to share our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, or the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. And so as I thought about what do we want to close with, I think you all know this is one of my favorite songs. Oops, I have to do the thing there. This is about the rebirth of the light. So what do you think we're going to sing? We're going to sing this little light of mine. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let's sing. Y'all, the world needs our light. Let it shine. gotta say is, go in peace, be makers of peace. I love you. Here, look.
I had never heard of angel cards before today, so I looked it up and I decided to pick one. And the one that came out was Open Your Heart. So I thought of playing the Madonna song, Open Your Heart, but I was like, no. So what I'd like to play for you instead is Open Arms. Please join us for coffee and conversation in the social hall.